Welcome back to Daily Dose of Devotional. Today, we'll be looking at John 8, 1-11. In the Gospel of John, we find a story known as the woman caught in adultery, as recorded in John 8, 1-11. But Jesus went to the Mount of Olives. Early in the morning, he came again to the temple. All the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery, and placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" Imagine the scene. Jesus is teaching a crowd in the temple when suddenly, religious leaders bring forward a woman caught in the act of adultery. They challenge Jesus, reminding him that the Mosaic law prescribed stoning for such offenses. This situation was a test for Jesus. The religious leaders were trying to trap him, either by getting him to condone stoning and defy Roman law, or by showing him as overly lenient and disregarding the law. But Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground, and as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." In response, Jesus stooped down and began to write on the ground, a moment of profound contemplation. Then he stood up and challenged the accusers. "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." His words urged them to reflect on their own imperfections and the need for compassion. And once more, he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones, and Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. As Jesus continued writing, the accusers, feeling the weight of their own sins, began to depart, starting with the older ones. Their departure signified an acknowledgement of their own imperfections and a recognition of Jesus' wisdom and mercy. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more." In the end, only Jesus and the woman remained. He asked her if anyone had condemned her. When she replied that no one had, Jesus, the sinless one, said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and sin no more." This statement embodies Christ's forgiveness and love, while also calling the woman to repentance and a new way of life. In this powerful story, we see the incredible depth of Jesus' compassion, his refusal to condemn, and his call to transformation. It reminds us all of the importance of forgiveness and the capacity for change and redemption in our lives. The woman caught in adultery teaches us about the power of forgiveness, compassion, and the call to transformation. It reminds us that none of us are without sin, and that instead of condemning, we should strive to offer love and support to those who seek a better path. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.